Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for March 8th. March 8th is the 67th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 68th in leap years, with 298 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is filibuster. Filibuster can be a noun or a verb. I think the way most of us think of filibuster is in its meaning as a noun, where it means an extreme delay tactic, usually by making long speeches to delay or prevent an action, particularly in legislative assembly. Filibuster can also be an instance of this practice, as in the filibuster delayed voting on the bill for over a week. As a verb, filibuster might mean to engage in a filibuster or subject to a filibuster, as in he filibustered into the wee hours of the morning. Did you know, though, that filibuster also means an irregular military adventurer, such as someone fomenting insurrections in another country or to carry out insurrectionist activities in a foreign country? The word filibuster comes to us from a Spanish word that literally translated to freebooter, and a freebooter is a pirate or a plunderer. The concept of a freebooter, by the way, goes all the way back to 1570s Dutch, where it meant to plunder. First known use of the word filibuster is in 1851. Filibuster. And remember, if you have a word you'd like us to examine in this Word of the Day segment, drop it in the comments. We'll take a look at it. And with that, March 8th, 1917 marks the beginning of the end of Tsarist rule in Russia when the February Revolution began. This would be the first of two revolutions in Russia. In 1917, the world was in the middle of what would come to be known as World War I, and things were difficult for everybody, certainly difficult for the Russian people. The country was under a monarchy, and some came to believe that if they could just abolish that monarchy, everything would get better. Tsar Nicholas II stepped down, but things didn't get better. Difficulties continued and protests with them. The country would struggle throughout the year, and we'll see another revolution in the fall, and I'll make a note to mention that when it rolls around on the calendar. By the way, what the heck? This is March 8th, so why is it called the February Revolution? Well, that's because the Gregorian calendar, which we currently observed, was adopted piecemeal by the various entities of the world, and Russia was still using the Julian calendar in 1917. Sometimes you'll see those dates listed as OS, which means old style, as compared to NS, which means new style, although new style dates are usually just listed without the NS designation because that's how we do it now. Hence, this event is called the February Revolution. Also in 1917, the United States Senate voted to limit filibusters by adopting what's called a cloture rule on March 8, 1917. So, bonus word. Cloture can be a noun or a verb that means closing or limiting of debate in a legislative body, especially by calling for a vote, and the word cloture comes from French. First known use of that word is in 1871. Now, sometimes if a legislator wanted to delay a vote, whether it was to delay voting until he knew he could get the vote to go the way he wanted, or whether it was to delay the vote for so long that it would time out and fail, he would just keep talking. Cloture is a motion or a parliamentary procedure aimed at bringing the debate to an end. 1917 was during World War I, and a group of 12 anti-war senators had managed to talk a bill to death that would have allowed President Wilson to order merchant vessels to be armed. So he urged the Senate to adopt these rules of cloture in order to have some way of shutting down the filibusters. The Daytona Beach and Road Course held its first oval stock car race on March 8, 1936. This motorsport race was instrumental in founding the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, also known as NASCAR. 15 world land speed records were set at the Daytona Beach course. Over the next 15 to 20 years, that area became increasingly popular as a tourist destination. Hotels went up, and the track operators saw that he would need to make other arrangements if these races were to continue. He was able to negotiate a purchase of the land near the Daytona Airport and began construction on what would become the Daytona International Speedway. The Daytona Beach Course hosted his last event in 1958, and in 1959, the first Daytona 500 was held at the new superspeedway. But the whole thing started on March 8, 1936. This is the birthday of singer-songwriter Carol Bayer Sager, born March 8, 1944. We've mentioned her before because she's a prolific songwriter, and she's written songs that we've talked about before. She's written or co-written over 100 songs over the last 6 decades, many of which have been hits sung by popular artists like Barbra Streisand, Carly Simon, Michael Jackson, Aretha Franklin, Carole King. We could go on for quite a while here listing artists who have had hits with her songs. One of her early hits was Groovy Kind of Love by the Mindbenders, which has since been covered by several artists, including Phil Collins. Carol Bayer Sager has released a few albums of her own, and in addition to her lyricism, she's also a visual artist. And has written a book about her life. Carol Bayer Sager turns 80 in 2024. Carol Bayer Sager. The animated series Beavis and Butthead premiered on MTV March 8, 1993. Beavis and Butthead went on to be MTV's highest-rated series up to that point. These guys spent most of their time eating junk food, talking about girls, and watching music videos. Love 'em or hate 'em, to this day, I know grown men who still quote Beavis and Butthead and chuckle. You can still find Beavis and Butthead episodes on YouTube. Those two can be a bit naughty sometimes, though, and are not what I would call suitable role models, so I didn't leave a link, but they're not hard to find if you want to search them up yourself. Beavis and Butthead. What a pair. Now, if you're curious as to what else I might have talked about for March 8th, I'll grab one from the attic and leave a link for you. Today's song is It's My Turn by Diana Ross. Written by Carol Bayer Sager and Michael Mosser, It's My Turn was released in September of 1980 as the lead single from the soundtrack of a movie by the same name. This version made it into the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100. It's My Turn by Diana Ross. Link in the description. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page that's called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. This is the birthday.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
I wasn't talking to you. Me and my mouth. John, are you kidding me? Okay, hold on. We got to make that be quiet. You got to read the black part. Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for, oh, where's your microphone? Okay, we don't want to say the same thing twice. Oh, get your microphone. What is it with you and this microphone? Okay, here we go. Okay, we are still recording. That's great. Okay. How about that? We'll have a lot to edit today. Cacophony is a sound. Cacophony is a noun that you got to read it the right way. Let's start over. It's 8 o'clock, so all of the reminders are going to be dinging. I forgot to turn those off. Okay, stop it. It's 8 o'clock. Don't alienate people who can be helpful to you. Flinging happiness all over the place. Alrighty, back to work. I think we got it this time.